It is Thursday morning. Tonight's the big night. And Josh Sabey and I are headed to a radio interview where Sue Klebold, mother of Dylan Klebold, one of the gunmen of the Columbine shooting, now a mental health and anti-violence advocate, is going to be tuning in with us remotely for an interview WBUR. So what are you hoping to accomplish with this interview?
Well, the main purpose of the interview is just to garner some interest in the community and get people to the theater so they can see the movie, and that's, I think, where we have the biggest impact.
No, that guy is not happy. She's busy doing it. She's like texting or something. Now, you've been on the radio before.
I mean, they do a lot of these interviews every day, so they have it pretty much down. I've done it live before. I think this one's going to be broadcast a couple hours after we record it.
Let's talk about how we reach out to the press. How did you reach out to this radio station?
You know, we gathered lots of input on how to do it. A couple different people from the station and just their main tip sort of hotline. I don't know which one made it in, like why I heard back, but
did we use the press release for them?
Yeah, but they haven't read it because he asked questions that were answered on the press release. So.
Oh, okay. Did we send the pitch?
Yes, I'm sure. That's all I sent was the pitch and press release. So.
How did you find out who to email?
Just online research. We tried to find people who had covered the film festival in the past, emailed them individually if we could find an email, and then also just the station, just there. You know, like every station has a tip line, and actually my experience is if you submit on the tip line, you'll sometimes hear back. If you follow up, you'll normally hear something. And follow up a little bit later. That's where I got most of my responses, was on the follow up, just saying, hey, I sent you a tip last week, haven't heard back. Any update, something like that. And several people got back to me, even if it was just to say, yeah, we don't have time this week. Soft follow-up, no one was annoyed by it, and got a lot of response.
Did we ever have a final count of how many people we interviewed for the documentary? And just like off the top of my head, the trips that we took for the documentary were one, trip to meet Sue Klebold and to talk to some people around the Denver, Colorado area. Then two, we went out to the West Coast, from Idaho to Oregon, and all the way down to San Francisco, California. Three, we went to New York for an interview that ended up falling through, right?
Oh yeah, that one there.
Oh, so there was another interview. There was another trip to New York as well. There were some more interviews in Denver that some of them we actually didn't use very much of.
There were several interviews we didn't use anything.
And then there was, we barely used any of these, but the way the documentary ended up being edited, the trip to Virginia and in North Carolina. So tell me about the trip, I think it was 9 days or so, when we filmed the B-roll and all the reenactments.
Well, at that point, we had the documentary pretty much cut. And so we knew kind of what we were looking for, which made the trip super productive. Pretty much everything we shot on that trip we used. A lot of, too. Sarah Davidon, Dawson School. We were only in the Dawson School classroom for like 10 minutes or something. And we used almost everything from that. So,
yeah, that turned out really amazing. Other than talking to Sue Klebold and some of the other suicide loss survivors that were like so impressively impactful, and to see that change from being a survivor to becoming an advocate. Other than that, I think shooting the B-roll and kind of re-experiencing what it may have been like for Sue when she was younger, raising a young child that she grew up loving. I thought that was one of the most impactful, powerful experiences for me.
I think for me the most impactful was just getting to know Sue. Just one of the problems we've had with this documentary is, people want to meet Sue, and we kind of have an obsession with fame and people that are well known, or for whatever reason, even if it's sort of a terrible reason. And that's sort of that voyeurism, has haunted Sue her whole life. And when we were making the movie, that was one of the problems we tried to deal with. And I don't know if there's any way to perfectly deal with it. We wanted to tell a story, and it was an impactful story that could make a difference for good. And that's, I guess, what we did. We didn't want to just tell the story as another voyeuristic attempt at, the life of a killer or a mother of a killer.
Salacious story about.
Yeah,
something like
we
that.
tried to move beyond that and had that. When we do include that, it's there's a purpose to it, and we're trying to not just do something good, that people will like, but that will do good. That was the trick of this documentary for sure. I think the goal, and I hope we accomplished it.
Heading into our interview at WBUR 90.9.
Oh yeah, actually I like the headlines.
Okay, so let's do this. Everyone comfortable?
Yes.
Okay. Welcome back to Radio Boston. I'm Tiziana Deering. 20 years ago, on April 20th, 1999, was the Columbine High School Massacre. A new documentary, American Tragedy, which premieres at the Boston Film Festival tonight. It profiles Sue Klebold, Dylan's mother, before and after the Columbine Massacre. And Sue Klebold joins me now on the phone from Colorado. Sue, thank you for joining us on Radio Boston.
Thank you, Tiziana.
Also with me in studio is Boston-based film director Josh Sabey.
It's even a small possibility that your kids will be in a school shooting, but it's a very large possibility that they'll deal with something like depression or anxiety. Can I ask the question back to you? What was your takeaway?
My takeaway, so I have a 14-year-old son and a 17-year-old daughter. My takeaway from the documentary was deeply check in with and engage with your kids and help them deal with the emotional aspect of their lives the same way I support them in dealing with homework and their physical health and the other parts of their lives.